what's the difference if the world existed and there's a God that controls the world versus that there was no world that existed and God created it and brought it into existence and also controls it? If you take a carpenter, for example, someone who builds a table, so what does he do? This table builder takes wood that already exists and he puts his influence on that wood. He takes the wood and he has to use his brains, his creative ability to take that wood and cut it up in a way and design it in a way that it becomes a table. Once that carpenter is finished with his work, with his influence on this table, he leaves. The table now has an independent existence. It's not dependent anymore on the carpenter to exist. Now, certainly the elements that this carpenter used to build this table were never dependent on the carpenter. They existed independent of the carpenter. Now, let's compare to the creation of the world by God. Since the world had no existence until God brought it into existence, so obviously every aspect of this world is dependent on God in order for it to exist. It doesn't have that independent existence before God gets involved. So its very existence is absolutely dependent on God. Let's take the second idea. Once this carpenter's done with working on this table, he moves away to his next project and the table has an independent, continued existence without the carpenter's involvement. We believe that not only did God make the world, but he is constantly involved in the world. He constantly is paying attention to what happens in the world. And that makes a very big difference between a world that was created and abandoned versus a world that was created and is maintained and cared for and observed by God.